Hey guys, Ruby here. I'm back with another tutorial. This look is perfect for a music festival or party, so if you've got any planned this summer, this look is perfect for you. I'm starting off with absolutely no makeup on so I can prep my skin so my makeup lasts all day. To help with the longevity of your makeup and to also help it from sweating off, I'm going to be using a sealing spray first. Spray this all over your face and let it set before applying your primers. The first primer that I'm using is by Benefit, and this is going to help fill in our pores. The second primer that I'm using is by Makeup Forever, and I'm going to be applying this on the outer portion of my face. This product doesn't dry my skin out, but still does a really good job at holding my makeup. I honestly believe that a stick foundation is the easiest way for you to get your base on and to even out your complexion. So I'm using the stick foundation by Bobbi Brown in the shade Sand, and I'm applying this all over my face first before buffing it out. The brush that I'm using is the Expert Face Brush by Real Techniques, and this does a really good job at giving your skin and your foundation a nice and polished finish. Once that's blended out, you can then move on to your brows. If you're going to be moving about and sweating, you want your brows to last all day, which is why I'm using my Makeup Forever Aqua Brow in the shade number 25. Groom your brows first before filling in any sparse areas. You want to apply your brow product in the same direction as your hair growth. This is going to give you the most natural finish. And if you were too heavy-handed with your product, just grab your spoolie and diffuse the color out. Now the same principle applies with your eye makeup. You want to lay down an eye primer that's actually going to hold your eye makeup in place all day. This one that I'm using is by the Makeup Store, and I'm applying this anywhere that I'm going to be applying my eyeshadow. It's always a good idea to run a flesh colored eyeshadow over the lids to take away from the tackiness of the base. All the eyeshadows that I'm going to be using today are from the Urban Decay Naked 2 palette. The first shade that I'm picking up is Tease, and I'm going to be running this above my crease as my transitional shade. Use a big fluffy brush to diffuse this color into and above the crease. This just means that our eyeshadows that are going to be blended in the crease area and outer corner will blend seamlessly. I'm also adding this eyeshadow on my lower lash line as well using my Sigma E20 brush. I absolutely love this brush and I think everybody should have one of these. Then diffuse the color out by using a big fluffy brush. I personally like to curl my lashes early on before applying any more eye makeup. Sometimes when I curl my eyelashes, my eyes tend to water, and when I do this towards the end of my makeup application, my eye makeup tends to smudge, which is why I tend to do it early on. Okay, so once your eyelashes are nice and curled, grab a flat brush. We're going to be using this brush to pick up the shade Snakebite, and we're going to be dabbing this on the outer corners and also inner corners of our eyes, leaving the center free of any eyeshadow. Use patting motions and dabbing motions to place the eyeshadow in this area. This means you'll have less fallout and the eyeshadows will actually go in the places that you want them to. It's just an easier and cleaner way to work with darker shadows. And that's the finished look, guys. I'm totally kidding right now. I'm using a tapered brush to slowly diffuse the outer edges into the crease. Once I've used my tapered brush, I'm then going to move on to using a Sigma E40 blending brush, which is much fluffier, and this is just going to help diffuse the color into our transitional shade that we applied earlier. You can use both windscreen wiper motions or circular motions to blend this color out, creating a nice gradient. The center part of our lid is feeling quite neglected right now, which is why I'm picking up this lighter shimmery shade on a flat shader brush and applying this to the center of my lids, once again using dabbing and patting motions. Alright, time to intensify our eyes. I'm using the shade Busted and applying this right next to the shade Snakebite on the outer corners. Once again, I'm dabbing this color on to ensure that the application is clean and that there is no fallout. With whatever product is remaining on the brush, run this on the outer third of your lower lash line. And with this big brush from Bobbi Brown, make sure you soften and diffuse all the eyeshadows out, creating a soft look. The bigger the blending brush, the better, because it will do all of the work for you quickly and easily. To darken and define the eyes even further, I'm using the shade Blackout just on the outer corners of my eyes. And yes, I'm patting the eyeshadow out once again, and you would notice that I have absolutely no fallout whatsoever. You want to use this darker eyeshadow to extend the shape of your eyes, creating that exaggerated feline effect. Once you've defined that outer V, it's time to blend it out using a blending brush. The tip is to use dabbing motions when blending out shadows on your lid, and windscreen wiper motions when diffusing colors in the crease. To ensure that everything is blended blended, take that big fluffy brush and run it over the eyes once again. And we are pretty much done with the eyeshadows. All you need to do is crisp up that outer edge by just using whatever's left on your foundation brush on the outer corners of your eyes. I want my eyes to look much more awake and brighter, which is why I'm using a white gel eyeliner by Inglot, and I'm going to be applying this onto my waterline. I love how pigmented this liner is, and I think it does a really good job at opening up the eyes and making them look brighter and much more awake. Onto the mascara, I want my lower lashes to be as long and spidery as possible, so I'm using my CoverGirl mascara. This is one of those double-ended mascaras, and I'm just using the first side to apply on my lower lashes. While that's drying, I'm going to create my wing liner. The liner that I'm using is by Sigma in the shade Wicked, and the brush that I'm using is the MAC 263, which is their synthetic version. If you find it very difficult to create a winged liner, you should start from the center of your lids, working your way outward. To create the wing, you want to extend the line upwards using your lower lash line as a guide, and then connect the wing back down by drawing a line towards the lid. There will be a little teeny tiny triangle bit left, and you can easily fill that in to create a fluid looking line. But you can use whatever brushes that work for you. I just find a wing liner makes the end of the wing really crisp and sharp. Repeat this process on the other eye so you can create an identical line before moving on to your mascara. Using my CoverGirl mascara, once again, I'm using the first side to coat my top lashes. I'm then going to use the other end of my mascara, which is marked with the number 2, and I'm going to be applying this over the top. And this makes my lashes look so much fuller, so much longer, and it just gives me the big bulky lash look that I'm after. Onto highlighting the brow bone area and also the inner corners. I'm using the shades Foxy and Bootycall and mixing them together. For my brow bone, I'm concentrating most of this color on the highest point of my arch. And for the inner corners, I'm keeping it close to my tear duct area. This is optional, but I'm applying some false lashes. These are the Amazing Shine lashes in 747 extra small. The length of these lashes are close to my natural lashes, so I'm just using them to create a thicker lash look. I use my duo adhesive to stick my lashes on, and the glue will dry clear soon enough. In the meantime, I'm going to be highlighting the centermost part of my face. I'm applying this lighter concealer on my cupid's bow, on the edges of my mouth, as well as underneath my eyes and on my nose bridge. These are the areas that I'd like to enhance, widen, and also bring forward. The brush that I'm using is by Models Prefer, and it's called the Airbrush Concealer Brush. I then switched over to my contour brush by Real Techniques to ensure that everything was blended in. To sculpt my face and also warm up my complexion, I'm using a powdered bronzer on my tapered face brush by Sigma. By sucking in my cheeks slightly and applying the contours in the hollows, I've created a much more defined cheek look. With whatever's left of my brush, I'm going to be applying this on the high points of my face to make sure that I've got a bronze sun-kissed glow. And finally, we're onto our lips. I'm using my Cappuccino lip pencil by Rimmel London. I'm applying this to the perimeters of my lips. Before applying my lip color, I'm blending out the edges, creating a softer look. I wanted an earthy toned lip color, which is why I'm using my Jane Iredale Lip Fixation in Compulsion. This creamy lip product dries to a stain and is very long lasting. Once I've pressed my lips together, I'm going to be using my Cappuccino lip liner once again just to apply to the outer corners of my lips, creating the illusion of a fuller pout. To make my lips look even fuller and juicier, I'm applying some lip gloss to the center of my lips. This is a caramel shade of lip gloss, so this is going to lighten the center of my lips, creating an ombre effect. Now that our lashes have dried, I'm going to be concealing the band with some liquid eyeliner. I'm using my Glam Liner Aqua Luxe in Black by NYX. And this liner is just so pretty because it is so black and it has these beautiful little glitters in it that just make the eyes look amazing. It just really complements the eyes and ties this look off completely. So this step is obviously optional, but if you do have flash tattoos, I would actually recommend that you use them, but you can draw these fun shapes on your forehead using white and black gel liner. And this is the finished look, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed today's tutorial. I had so much fun creating this look for you all. If you'd like me to create more looks using just one single palette, then definitely request that down below, as well as the palette that you'd like me to use. Make sure to thumbs up this video and also leave me a comment if you enjoyed. And if you'd like to see a fall-inspired makeup look, then definitely click the video that you see on the screen right here. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!